raid sirens sounded in Kyiv on Wednesday, after the United States shut its embassy there due to, quote, specific information of a potential significant air attack. It told its citizens in Ukraine to be ready to swiftly seek shelter. The Italian and Greek embassies said they had also closed their doors, while the French embassy remained open, but urged its citizens to be cautious. Moscow has criticized the decision by outgoing US President Joe Biden to let Ukraine use US missiles to strike into Russia, having warned for weeks it would see such permission as a major escalation. And on Tuesday, President Vladimir Putin lowered the threshold for a nuclear strike in response to attacks using conventional weapons. Russia said Ukraine fired US ATACMS missiles into its territory early on Tuesday morning, and suggested that the United States must have helped the strikes with satellite data, targeting and military personnel.
We aren't surprised by...
Washington did not immediately address those assertions, but rejected, quote, more of the same irresponsible rhetoric from Russia. Putin's spy chief, Sergei Naryshkin, warned on Wednesday that Russia would punish any NATO states that help Ukraine with such strikes. Biden has also approved provision of anti-personnel landmines to Ukraine, a US official told Reuters. That's aimed at halting the advance of Russian ground troops in the east. The war is at a volatile juncture, and the rising tensions have stirred concern of a global confrontation. A fifth of Ukrainian territory is in Russian hands, and North Korean troops are deployed in Russia's Kursk region. There are doubts over the future of Western aid to Ukraine as US President-elect Donald Trump returns to the White House.
A U.S. House Ethics Committee ended a closed-door meeting on Wednesday, deadlocked over whether to release a report on alleged sexual misconduct by former Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, President-elect Donald Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney General.
There was no consensus on this issue.
The panel's top Democrat, Representative Susan Wild, said the committee, which is evenly divided between 5 Republicans and 5 Democrats, could not agree on the issue after members voted along partisan lines. She said the committee will meet again on December 5th, but it was not clear if the panel could take action before then. Gaetz resigned his House seat last week, hours after Trump tapped him to lead the Department of Justice, raising questions in Congress about the future of the panel's investigation into allegations that Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old girl. Some Senate Republicans have called for details of the probe to be released. Gaetz met on Wednesday with Senate Republicans, who have the power to confirm or block him from office as the party regained control of the chamber in the election earlier this month. On Tuesday, Trump said he hadn't reconsidered his pick to run the Justice Department.
Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No. Some Senate Democrats on Wednesday asked the FBI to turn over its investigative file on Gaetz. The former lawmaker has said federal prosecutors informed him in 2023 that they would not seek criminal charges against him after nearly 3 years of investigating sex trafficking allegations. Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing. The close Trump ally has never worked in the Justice Department or served as a prosecutor at any level of government, and is one of a growing list of Trump nominees who lack the resumes typically seen in cabinet heads, and who in some cases hold grudges against the agencies they have been tapped to run.
Migrants are arriving in Spain's Canary Islands at record speed this year. Over 39,700 migrants came to the Canaries by mid-November. That's a 23% increase over the previous year, according to Spain's Interior Ministry. That's the fastest increase in arrivals by sea in all of the EU, according to its border agency, Frontex. The islands are on track to break records for the number of irregular migrant arrivals for the second year in a row. Frontex says smuggling networks are exploiting instability in the Sahel region, including in Mali, where conflict is a key driver of the surge. It's engulfed in an insurgency, and its economic troubles have gotten worse since the military seized power in 2020. We young people in Mali no longer have to fear death because we have seen all kinds of deaths, explains this migrant from Mali. If you stay where you came from or take the wooden boats, you might die, so it doesn't matter. Nearly 10,000 Malians arrived in the Canaries between January and August, compared to nearly 800 in the previous year. Some are coming from even further away, according to Manuel Dominguez, the vice president of the Canary Islands Autonomous Region.
They
have been diverted towards the Canary Islands from the southern border of Europe, where the entry of irregular migrants has been made impossible. So much so that we are starting to see the arrivals of the first irregular migrants from Asia, which is worrying us a lot because it seems that the world is starting to look at or see the Canary Islands as one of those main uncontrolled ports of entry to the European Union.
One NGO estimates at least 800 migrants have died this year trying to reach the Canaries. In September, the islands experienced the worst shipwreck on record. 63 of 90 passengers are believed to have drowned. Francisco Navarro, whose NGO runs a migrant center, says it's difficult to understand the scale of the crisis. We are experiencing a humanitarian tragedy that has no precedent, he says.
Kizza Besigye, a veteran Ugandan opposition politician, has been kidnapped during a book launch in Kenya, his wife said on Wednesday. He was then transferred to Uganda, she said, where he's being held at a military jail in the capital. Besigye has been charged with several offences, according to a witness present at court, including unlawful possession of firearms. He has denied all charges and was remanded in custody until December 2nd. Besigye's wife, Winnie Byanima, who serves as the head of UNAIDS, called on the Ugandan government to release him immediately. She did not provide details about the alleged kidnapping and could not immediately be reached for further comment. Uganda's information minister denied that Uganda engages in abductions, stating that any arrests abroad would be done in collaboration with the host country. Kenya's foreign ministry, however, told a local paper that it had no role in Besigye's arrest. The ministry did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In July, Kenyan authorities detained 36 members of Besigye's Forum for Democratic Change party and deported them to Uganda, where they were charged with terrorism-related offences. President Museveni's government has been accused of repeated human rights abuses against opposition activists, including illegal detentions, torture, and extrajudicial killings. Officials say those arrested are detained legally and processed appropriately by the court system.
Rows of solar panels in India's northwest symbolise the country's mighty aspirations for renewable energy. But its plans to expand domestic manufacturing in the solar industry are coming up short. That's according to experts who say India is grappling with inadequate government funding and a major skills shortage. This will potentially jeopardise its clean energy targets to hit net zero carbon emissions by 2070. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India programme has allocated $3 billion as incentives for local manufacturers. Yet industry leaders say India, a major greenhouse gas emitter, must significantly step up funding and training programmes to reach its environmental goals. Analysts estimate the need for 1.7 million skilled workers by 2027, with the industry seeing a skills gap of 1.2 million already. Aditya Sagal is the CEO of Alpex Solar.
Now that we're hiring at an exponential rate, we're hoping the government is able to introduce or push universities and schools in India to have a larger focus on manufacturing in the renewable sector. So being able to provide hands-on training to students on how to maybe run machines or how to maintain machines, right?
A shift in the direction of renewables could be really impactful for India. Many manufacturers said that this skill shortage could also limit India's plans to expand solar module exports, which touched $1.9 billion last fiscal year, mainly to the US market.